one thing I wanted to talk about is we've already agreed the thing to focus on is the user experience. And that's a unifying theme that everyone in the team can work toward.
Totally.
And what we talk about SpeedCurve being unique in doing is helping you track and measure the user experience. That sounds great in words, but what does it actually mean?
Yeah. How do we do it?
How does SpeedCurve, so Mark, you tell us.
Yeah.
How does SpeedCurve actually measure user experience?
Yeah. So this, for me, is where web page test is an amazing tool, because it gives us such an amazing source of data. And the one thing that web page test does differently from any other tool out there is record video.
And just so people know, SpeedCurve is built on top of web page test.
Totally. Yeah. So we're loading web pages and real web browsers on consistent hardware in all sorts of places around the world. But when that page loads, we're recording video at 30 or 60 frames per second. And that allows us to do a whole lot of visual analysis of that page from a user's perspective. So not the browser telling us when different events fired, but actually what does a user see? How does it feel as it loads?
And for me, like I love metrics around DNS and how long it took to download jQuery. But what really matters if we do want to try to measure the user experience is visually, what is the user experiencing?
Yeah, what am I saying? So we've got two great metrics that come out of that visual analysis. Start render is when the very first pixel changes on the screen, so I can see something, I'm engaged, I'm there.
It gives the user feedback that the server's working.
And the other really important one is speed index. And speed index is an analysis of the viewport and how it's changing over time during that page load. So if a little bit appears on screen, that's 20% visually complete, right through to the end of the page load where I can see all the content in my viewport. And the speed index number is a calculation of that process over time and turning it into a number that I can use to compare against other websites and in between my templates and give me a really great user experience number to share with the team and improve.
And so we have these film strips, which are great to drill down to, but speed index is, if you can't look at all of those and digest all of those, is it's a number that kind of represents what you're going to see in that film strip.
Exactly.
Yeah. And I think what's one of the ways that we kind of show that SpeedCurve is so focused on user experience is that we actually determine the typical page load based on speed index. I think the default in web page test is to use page load time, but because Pat has done such an amazing job and parameterized the way web page test works, we've actually changed that to pick median page loads based on speed index, because it's really all about the user experience.
To make it even more about those users and the feedback that they're getting. So one thing we do
So we're from SpeedCurve. We should be talking about SpeedCurve features. So rifle off, what are some features, other features that illustrate how we're measuring user experience?
So we take that raw data, that speed index number, and those film strips, which give you that great visual feedback, and we turn it into a series of dashboards that focus you on particular aspects of your website. So responsive design. You know, we're giving you visual feedback on how it feels on mobile, how it feels on desktop, visually, how it feels different in those film strips and how they load differently, but also allowing you to compare those assets and really understand how well you're tuning your responsive website.
And you say, you know, how it feels, and again, what we're talking about is the user experience. If you can see those film strips and you can compare a phone to a tablet to a laptop, visually what the user is experiencing, that really helps you get that, what does it feel like to a user?
The other big thing we do is custom metrics. So we support the user timing spec that's now available in a couple of the key browsers, and there's polyfills available as well. And the user timing spec is all about deciding what is the hero piece of content on your web page that determines when that user experience is ready.
And if a customer adds a measurement to that, we can surface that, and so really let them hone in on their key elements in their page.
So think about a product page. When that product image loads, you really want to know, because that's when the user is engaged. And Twitter has talked quite a lot about time to first tweet. So all the metrics get boiled down to one number that's actually about the user experience. When do I first see that tweet?
That's their custom metric.
Yeah, so we totally encourage you to go through a process with your team, with marketing, design, developers, everybody, and decide what is that most important element on each template, and then you can pull that through. It's supported by RUM. You can push it into other, data providers, and we support it in SpeedCurve as well.
So how about with competitors? Like, we've got film strips for looking at different devices.
Yeah.
What if visually I want to know how my site compares to other sites that I'm competing with?
Yeah.
How do we do that?
So the wonderful thing about web page test and SpeedCurve is you can measure any site. So all the same data that you get for your site, we can give you for other people. So we can tell you what the speed index is for other people, and we give you all those same screenshots and film strips, so you can visually see how you compare. And you get all that construction feedback. So you can go, hey, that site's faster than me. What are they doing differently? And how might I improve my website to get up to that same user experience?
And that's important because we talk about setting performance budgets, but sometimes to set the value of a performance budget, you have to figure out, well, what should it be?
Yeah.
And looking at what your competitors are doing is a good way, because I think everyone wants their site to be better than the competitors. So it helps you know what you have to do.
Yeah,
Yeah.
totally. Performance budgets are a huge part of SpeedCurve, and supporting that decision-making process to really think about what should my user experience be like, turning that into a metric that you then monitor using a performance budget, and then we push you alerts so that you're really staying on top of what that user experience is like and how is it changing over time.
Yeah, that's important. And then how about the ever nefarious third-party content?
Woo, third parties, don't we love them?
I think it's not that they're nefarious. I mean, we appreciate things that ads and analytics and widgets do to our sites. I think the worrisome part of it is it's really a big variable because it's not content that the website owner controls.
Yeah.
So there's uncertainty about how it's performing and the impact that it's having on the user experience. So
Yeah.
what can we do there?
Well, so we've put a lot of effort into rolling up some of those services and giving you a really nice third-party overview waterfall that allows you to understand where the impact is being had. And the key thing is really about that start render line on the graph that's showing you that potentially these third parties are affecting your user experience and what they're seeing.
More and more third parties, luckily, have moved to loading their content asynchronously, but there's still many that
Yeah.
don't. And that waterfall that's one of the most beautiful visualizations that I love in SpeedCurve. And being able to see if maybe you have one of those outlier third parties that is blocking rendering, that's, of course, if you can find that and fix it, going to have a huge impact. And that's the fixing part. Sometimes I know, that initially a lot of widgets are not asynchronous by default, but then afterwards they rolled out async versions of them. And so
Right.
it's a way to see which ones should I investigate, which ones do I have to focus on, and maybe if you just search for them, you'll find they have an async version.
Yeah. So those are all the great features in the way that we support user experience and actually bringing that to the forefront. And so, we're going to keep adding more over time and check them all out. They're awesome.
Yeah.